Welcome back. I'm here with Ben Copperwheat, designer and artist. Ben, thank you so much for being here on Positive Power.
Thank you for having me.
So tell me your roots. Where did you grow up? Where did your artistic flair, your creativity come from?
Well, I'm originally from the UK, very close to London, and I moved to New York in 2003, so I've been here for a long time. And before that, I studied in London. Where it really came from, I mean, I felt from a young age that I kind of had this, I was always interested in the arts and fashion, and I started drawing at a young age, and I really started like kind of really finding my true artistic kind of calling, I guess, in my teens. And then I went to art college, and it just kind of really progressed from there. And my parents were always very supportive, and they weren't like, oh, you should go and be a doctor or, you know, a teacher. They really supported me following the arts, so that was really helpful. And I just kind of really followed that path and kind of kept going.
Well, I'm so glad you did. I encountered your like 2 years ago, and as soon as I saw it, it captivated me. I mean, it gave me a feeling of daydreaming. It let me escape. It made me happy, but most important, it made me smile.
Yeah.
What is your creative process?
Well, it's kind of a few different areas, but my real background roots is screen print. So that's kind of my main medium. You know, I studied my degree in fine art, and then my master's I did in printed textiles. So I kind of came from a fine art background, but then kind of went through a design. So it's kind of really a merging of the design and the art worlds. But I would say that I really work primarily with screen print and then also like Photoshop, like digital art. And there's elements of painting in my work, but I would say definitely I'm a screen print artist mainly. And I take images that I find in the world, and I draw with them and manipulate them through digital mediums like Photoshop and through painting. And it kind of all just kind of goes through, I guess, through me and then comes out a different way. I mean, that's kind of really the only way I can really describe it. And I guess, you know, the nature of doing something creative, it's kind of, you know, something magical happens, and I don't really know how it happens, but I just kind of do my own thing, and it's really kind of a big part of my life. I mean, it's kind of really largely who I am. So I just keep going with it, really, and, you know, and I couldn't really have it any other way.
That's wonderful. I like one thing that you said, magical. Yes, it is magical. Now, I know that besides doing a lot of work in the United States, you're also involved in Europe. If you could tell me a little bit about that, and also the work that you have done here as well.
Well, predominantly my work has been in the United States because that's where I've been based, but I was just in Florence, Italy, doing a project with Patricia Field, who represents me as an artist now. And I did like a big, huge mural for a store called Louisa Via Roma. It's a high-end boutique there in Florence. And I had 2 days to do this mural, and I created this huge kind of thing, and I don't even know how I did it in such a short space of time. But, you know, that's kind of part of the magic of the creative process, just kind of staying really focused and really believing in what you're doing, not having any fear, which I think is the key thing, and just kind of really believing in what I'm doing. But that's kind of my main thing I've been doing in Europe recently. I was also in Berlin in September, showing Berlin Alternative Fashion Week with Patricia Field again, so that was really awesome. And other than that, most of my stuff has been here in New York. But I feel like now, like, my work is starting to expand more outside of my home base here in New York, which is really cool.
Wow, that's great. I actually once saw Patricia Field on this flight that I was taking, and she is a lovely woman. So I'm very happy you're working with her. You know, now I want to look at some of your art.
Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is here, which is called Neon Swirl. And this art here is something I created for a show called Powered, which actually Issa Israel, one of our models, curated the whole show and put it together as his brainchild project. And this piece is a 15-foot by 5-foot canvas. And the idea from it, I just wanted to kind of have this energy. And it was actually, I created this on the weekend that David Bowie passed. And he just released his new album. And Issa was there with me at the time. And we were just kind of creating art and just kind of listening to David Bowie's music. And then like the next day he passed. I mean, it was just the most wild thing. And then 2 days later we had this show. So even though that David Bowie is not in this piece, I feel like his spirit is, because it's kind of like very kind of free, and then there's this lightning bolts, and I think, and there's this kind of black background, so there's kind of like a dark energy to it as well. So the idea behind this piece really was to just kind of have this very kind of expressive movement and, kind of graphic element to it as well. So it just kind of really came from his music and my experience of that during that time.
Now, I want you to see what your art does for me. When I look at it, it definitely has a hypnotic, captivating look to it. And I would use that in one of my inductions. Just have the client look at your picture. It has a childlike feel. And yes, the black in the back kind of makes everything pop.
Yeah.
It just takes me to a whole other level, and I just love it.
Thank you.
Can we look? And oh, I'm sorry. What was the name of this piece?
This piece is called Neon Swell.
Wow, very nice, very nice. Let's look at another piece.
Yeah. So the next one is this is part of a series of art which I call divas. So I basically picked 4 different women that are and were trailblazers in their field, like Joan Rivers, Madonna, Margaret Thatcher, and Diana Ross. And some, they're all kind of, well, they're not all, but a couple of them are at least quite polarizing. And, the idea behind it was to take these women and kind of put them into this, image and have like my different prints on them as clothing. So, I took,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so like each of the different parts, like the Joan Rivers is like a textile design I did, and here is a print I did, different elements of prints on their actual clothing. Because actually in the photographs they're wearing actually just plain clothing. Like Joan Rivers is wearing like a white blazer, and Diana Ross is wearing a black dress. So I wanted to like bring all these patterns into their portrait, and then I created everything in Photoshop. So each individual thing is hand drawn. And then I drew their faces by hand, and then it's all scanned in. So these are actually quite large. They're like 55 inches by 47 inches.
Wow.
And I showed these at the Leslie Lohman Museum in Manhattan for a show there called Interface. It was up for about 3 months. So these are digitally printed on canvas. So this is just a small version of it, but you can kind of get an idea.
The digital aspect, the different colors, the patterns, actually kind of takes me from one world to the other, evoking different feelings every time I see them. And then when you combine them, it's just like a pop.
Yeah.
I love it. My favorite part is the hearts there by Madonna.
Yeah, the hearts is kind of one of my key motifs that I use, and I'm actually wearing it here on my shirt also. And so I have like key motifs in my work that kind of come through: the lightning bolts, the little pigs, these florals, different elements. The Manhattan skyline I use a lot in my work, and so these elements kind of come through throughout different areas. And this is a good representation of the digital side of my work.
Wow, it's absolutely beautiful. And you say you drew the faces?
Yeah, I drew them, and then
Okay.
they get scanned into Photoshop, and then the actual background part is like the original photograph of the
Okay.
person.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And let's look at one more.
Okay, so the next one this is from a collection I did in 2010, and I picked this one out because I really feel like it's a great example of the print design, which is the London to New York, which is the London and New York skyline mixed together, and then the way it works great on the actual clothing is the fashion styling. And the fabric I hand screen printed, and then I was working with my cousin at the time on this clothing line, and he hand tailored and made this whole suit by hand. And so this is the women's suit and then the man's suit. And I just love the way it's just really tight, and with the tailoring and the screen print and everything just works beautifully.
So it's New York and London. Wow, I love that. And you design women's clothes and men's clothes as well.
I'm actually primarily not a fashion designer. So the way I've always worked is I'm actually really a print textile designer. So I actually take my prints and put them onto clothing. So for example, this here was a collection which I made with him. So I screen printed the fabric and then it was made into clothing, but actually like the clothing I'm wearing now was already existing pieces, like these jeans were already existing,
Okay.
this blazer was,
I
and I
see.
screen print on top. So I don't actually make the clothing, I'm more like put my prints and my art onto the clothing. So, which you'll also see when we bring the models out, that it's kind of the idea of taking usually quite drab piece of clothing and then making it into something really fab and really exciting. And you could even take something vintage or and then by printing on top of it, it just gives it a whole new life.
Well, you certainly do that. Now, we're going to get ready to bring the models out. But before we do, I know you're working with some top celebrities. I know Boy George.
Yeah.
Do you get their personality and then design for them? Or do they look at your designs and then choose them?
It's kind of a mixture of both things. For example, with the Boy George pieces, the first thing I worked with them, they gave me like an idea of what they wanted. They wanted this to take the Culture Club symbols like the Star of David and the crucifix and the hearts and all these different things. And then I added in some of my elements and, we kind of worked very closely together on it. And then I created this print and then it was made into a garment by the stylist. Then on the second piece I worked with him, I just kind of did my own thing and they just happened to love it. So it's kind of, sometimes they kind of give me a different idea and other times it's kind of I do my thing and they pick it out. So it's kind of a very organic process,
Wow, I love it. So let's see some of your fashions.
Okay.
The first model we have is Israel. Wow, that is amazing. Why don't you tell me a little bit about, oh, wow, I love the hat. Why don't you tell me a little bit about the outfit, the design?
So Issa here is actually, he used this for his music video, and which is not out yet, but we worked together on the clothing for his videos. He's a musical artist. And here, this actual piece, Issa picked out, it's an oversized onesie, all-in-one jumpsuit. And I just screen printed it kind of wild, and he said he wanted some yellow on there and some red, white, and blue. And so this we kind of very much collaborated on. It wasn't really me doing my own thing. We kind of worked together on it. And then the wig here, this was actually for a shoot that he did for Next magazine. But my friend Janice, who colors my hair, who we know together,
yes,
she made the wig, and then Issa and I painted it and used my motif. So everything's like a very collaborative process, which I really like to work that way.
Wow. Can you turn around just so we can see the back of it as well? Okay.
There's not really anything on the back.
Well, I like that. You look at the back and then you get a surprise. And attention to detail. I see the sneakers.
Yeah, so these
very
sneakers
nice,
here,
very nice.
This is a collaboration I did with Palladium a few years ago.
Okay.
I still have some, and these I thought this would be great to show. And Issa actually styled his own outfit here. So these I spray painted and did a collaboration with them. So here I used a mixture of spray paint and screen print to put together the look.
Wow, thank you, Issa. And now we have a totally different look. Hayden Flanders. Oh wow, I love the different patterns.
Yeah, so Hayden here is wearing this really cute dress, which has David Bowie on the front, and then on the back you can see some of David Bowie here. And this is like a kind of like a nylon, but I love the way that it really takes the print. It just really pops.
Oh wow, very nice, very nice.
But the nice thing about that kind of fabric, the ink just sits on the surface. You get a very graphic feel.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the way it's like the red with the black and the white. It's very graphic, and you kind of can't really see what's going on in the image, but then you look close and you can. And then he's also wearing this plaid shirt with this foliage print, which I've done. This plant I used to have in my apartment for about 12 years, so I was kind of very attached to it. And then it sadly died, so This was a little memoriam to that plant. And then here also is my heart motif, but just in black. So I kind of like the way that Hayden's outfit is very graphic, and it's actually not really, it's no neon on there, which neon is a signature normally for me, but I think it's good to show something different.
Yeah.
And it works really great on him. I
Could
love the way he styles
turn
his
around
stuff.
and... Oh, great. And I love the boots, Hayden. I absolutely love the boots.
Yeah, and the boots are fab, which is Hayden's styling.
Issa, could you come back out here? First of all, I want to thank you guys, and I know that you're involved with some of the designs, and it's great. But this music video, tell me something about that.
Well, the music video, we've worked on a couple music videos together, but the recent one where this outfit was designed for, we shot it in the Oculus. It's the new World Trade Center hub. So when we came to together to kind of, fill out things, what we were going to do with the outfit. I just wanted something that kind of spoke to the Oculus and that area being the financial district and what happened in 9/11. So I chose
Oh,
to
wow. It has a lot of meaning.
do, it has the
I
red,
can
white,
see
and
that.
blue.
I can see that.
And then we chose to do the yellow just for a little bit of pop, kind of like this
Yeah, it has that
futuristic.
darkness. I
Yeah.
really like that.
So
Wow. And Hayden, I believe, or I heard that you are a social media genius. Tell me about that.
Yes, so growing up, I grew up in the South, and I never had that much of an experience to be able to express myself. So that was in the age that social media was definitely coming to be a big thing in our generation of millennials. So I ran to social media and I started blogging and I started using social media as an outlet of expression. And that is where I was able to really create who I wanted to be. And I think that was very important for me because I think self-expression, especially with the way that I dress, really inspired me to be who I am today. And it's amazing how social media can really allow you to use it as an outlet to be able to express yourself and show other people that there is more than just what's in their confines, especially in a small town like how I grew up in. I think it's amazing that you can be able to have that opportunity to see what other people in bigger cities.
That's beautiful.
they
That's
may not be able to
absolutely
travel
beautiful.
to.
Now, one more question. What's your favorite color?
I would say my favorite color would probably be maybe I have a multitude of favorite colors, but I would say
That's a good answer.
I would say, I mean this
Yes,
bright
that's a good answer.
But maybe red, because that's kind of my go-to.
Passion, energy.
Yeah.
I like it. And you, Hayden?
So color for me isn't so much a focus. I think it's more about texture and being able to create a silhouette. So
Wow,
That's
that's
my
a
second.
wonderful answer.
right, so color is definitely important, but I mostly focus on silhouette, and then the color comes with that. So whatever color is in the garment itself is what I get.
Thank you, thank you. And now, Mr. Amazing Artist, should I ask you that question? What your favorite color
My
is?
favorite color is rainbow.
Oh, I love it. So is mine. Actually, so is mine. I want to thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
You're an amazing artist, and I wish you so much luck in your future endeavors. And Isa and Hayden, thank you too for being here.
Thank you.